Next question comes from Paul, aka Cognitive Dissonance, a screen name I've long been a fan of. Question is this: I started working on my mental game issues and then had my worst month ever. Theory was that he finally started addressing things that hadn't been dealt with for years, opened up a can of worms, and perhaps it was just sort of too much at one time, and dealing with those issues had a short-term negative impact. And the question is, have I come across this before, and does it sound reasonable for what happened? Absolutely, it's happened many times. Very often when you're sort of dealing with a lot of new issues at once, it's hard to know what to start with. It's like you've been shoving away all these issues in a closet, open up the door, it comes spilling out, and now you got a bunch of crap on the floor and you're not really sure what to deal with, and it's just a mess. And it's a little overwhelming. Not necessarily just the specific things to be dealing with, just looking at all the things you've got to deal with is kind of overwhelming. It's almost like the tilt of tilt. This is the overwhelming feeling that comes with having to deal with a lot of things that hadn't been dealt with before, and you're not really sure where to start, you're not really sure what to work on, not really sure how to work on it. It's a bit like having a big puzzle with no kind of picture to be as your guide as far as putting this thing back together. And the other thing too is that just by focusing on tilt or on fear or any of these issues, you can almost make them seem more significant. Like the focus kind of has like a magnifying effect to it. So with things that you never really paid attention to, they're just sort of there in the background. They're affecting your game, but because your mind is not tuned into them, they're not quite as significant. Once you start doing that, that magnifying effect definitely gets in the way. And as I talk about in the adult learning model, right, conscious competence, there's only so much that you can actually think about at one time. So when you are not necessarily even trying to do all of this mental game work at once, but right, can of worms pops open, closet door flies open, all this stuff, you don't really have a choice. There's just all this data that just sort of floods into the mind, and you're sort of left there dealing with it. So one of the things you can do here is try to compartmentalize what you're working on. Right, you want to be focused on the things that you believe to be the most significant, the most severe, or the thing that you can kind of fix the quickest and sort of get you started in this process. Focus on it consistently. Be cognizant of the other things that you're working on, but not while you're playing. You got to work really, really hard in your warm-up to prepare yourself to just be focusing on correcting the issues that are most relevant for you to be focusing now. Do that for a couple weeks, a month, until you start to really see some progress, and then you can begin sort of steadily bringing in the next thing in line, and that's going to make things far more tolerable to get you through this. So hopefully that helps. If not, post a follow-up question. I'll be happy to answer for you.